For this problem, I'll need to get into the correct form of m dx plus n dy is equal to 0. To do that, I'll start by multiplying this dx term to the other side. We'll get x dy is equal to 2x e to the x minus y plus 6x squared all times dx. I can subtract the x term to the other side, and we'll get 2x e to the x minus y plus 6x squared dx minus x dy is equal to 0. Now this is in the correct form of m dx plus n dy is equal to 0. The coefficient of dx is going to be our m term, which is 2x e to the x minus y plus 6x squared. And the coefficient for dy is our n term, which is negative x. I can now take the partial derivative of m with respect to y. This 2x e to the x term will be 0, and this 6x squared term will also be 0. So we're just going to take the derivative of negative y, which will be negative 1. We'll also take the partial derivative of n with respect to x, which will just be negative 1. Because these two values are the same, we know that the equation is exact. We can now take the integral of m with respect to x. So we'll be taking the integral of 2x e to the x minus y plus 6x squared, all with respect to x. For this first term, we're going to have to use integration by parts. I'll let u equal x, so du is going to be dx. I'll let dv equal e to the x, so v will be equal to e to the x. I'll use the formula for integration by parts, which is uv minus v du. I'll substitute those values in. We'll have x e to the x minus the integral of e to the x dx, which will just be x e to the x minus e to the x. Now there was a coefficient of 2 in front of that, so I'll write that there. Now we can do the next term. The integral of negative y with respect to x will be negative xy, and the integral of 6x squared with respect to x will be 2x cubed. And we have to add that g of y on the end, and this is our function. Now we're going to take the partial derivative of this function with respect to y, which definitionally is equal to n. I'll now evaluate the partial derivative with respect to y of that term. This first term will be 0. This second term will just be negative x. This term will also be 0, and g of y will be g prime of y. Now we said n is equal to negative x, so I'll write that here. It'll be negative x is equal to negative x plus g prime of y. These negative x's will cancel, and we'll be left with g prime of y is equal to 0. We can now take the integral of both of these sides with respect to y, and we'll find that g of y is equal to 0. We can now plug this in here for this function. We'll find that 2 times x e to the x minus e to the x minus xy plus 2x cubed is equal to c. And that is our final answer. If this video helped you, consider subscribing.